I have some theories about what's going on behind the scenes, okay? I'm going to go over a timeline of sorts because I think it needs to be broken down as simply as possible. I was doing my exams, my A-level exams, one of them being politics, of course, did very well on that, alhamdulillah. I was doing my politics exams around May, June time, right? Doing my A-level exams around this time. A lot of what was going on at that time sort of flew over my head because I was concentrating on these exams, okay? As I should have been. Looking back at May time, we can see, and I don't know if any of you remember, Elon Musk, right? For the first and last, not the first time, but one of the first times he visited the Oval Office, and it was definitely the last time he visited the Oval Office, right? He had his black MAGA cap on. He was there with Lil Lex, his son, right? He was there with his son, and he appeared with a giant black eye, right? Okay. Who's done this? Now, Trump actually later said that we offered him makeup and he cryptically refused. He refused the makeup because he wanted the cameras to see that he had a black eye. Why did he want the cameras to see that he had a black eye? Trump, I think, stated, or maybe Elon did himself, that it was his son, right? His however old son punched him in the face, and that left a black eye. Yeah, Elon Musk, a grown man. So this obviously has got alarm bells ringing in my head. Why does he have a black eye? Why has this happened? So that was on the 30th of May, end of May, I believe. And if you actually remember that tweet, that infamous tweet from Elon, what day was that, right? That was a couple of weeks after, I think. So a couple of weeks after, it might actually have been less than a week after. I think it was less than a week after. He stated that the reason why Trump does not want to release the Epstein files, going back to the Epstein files, is because he is within them, right? Because he is in them himself, right? Is what Elon says. The tweet goes mega viral. The tweet gets hundreds of thousands of likes in hours, you know. He does delete the tweet later, but obviously the records do not forget. He tweeted this, right? That was in June, right? At this moment in time, it could have been a little bit after this, Israel struck Iran, okay? Now, there was a massive threat. I don't know why Elon had a black eye, but there was a massive threat from Elon to Trump saying that the reason you don't want to release these Epstein files is because you're within them. And what does Trump do a couple of weeks after? What does he do? The 12-day war, do any of you remember? All right, something Israel have wanted far before Trump's presidency, right? Far before even the second or the first term, doesn't matter. This is something that they have wanted for 20 years. They bombed 3 nuclear facility sites, 3 of them, including Fargo. 3. Killing a lot, but to them, most importantly, disarming their nuclear ability, their nuclear facilities, right? Israel's been pleading for this. Israel has been salivating over this for forever. And who goes and gives it to them? Who goes and destabilizes the Middle East, even though Trump is someone, in 2016, he was an outsider. Oh, does anyone remember with George Bush? He says, he says to Jeb Bush, your brother was wrong. He said there were nuclear weapons. There were none. He knew it, right? He knew it. Everyone knew it. And he says this, everyone loves it. Everyone loves it, right? Everyone's like, yes, this is what we need in the Republican base. No wars, anti-war, right? And what has Trump become? He's become a shell of his former self. He proclaimed to drain the swamp. He became a part of it, right? I'm sorry to say. He became a part of it. How does this all add up? How does this link to the Epstein files? I'm going to tell you how, right? Because the DOJ, not long after that, right? That war started on the 6th of June. Not the 6th of June, sorry, the 13th of June, right? 613. 613 commandments, by the way, in the Mishnah, in the Hebrew Bible, in the Old Testament. Coincidence? I'm sure. But that was obviously 613, 13th of June it started. And 7/7, Netanyahu came to the Oval Office, 7th of July, came to the Oval Office and he celebrated that we have sort of won against Iran, right? And a little before that, the DOJ announced that the Epstein files are basically not needed to be released, and we've looked into them and they don't really exist, so we're just not going to release them, right? Very convenient for Trump, someone that may be implicated within these files, but he went and bombed Iran, something Israel has wanted for 20 years, and what happened? They suddenly disappeared. Do we think Israel has these files? Maybe they do. Maybe they are threatening someone like Trump. Maybe they're blackmailing someone like Trump, saying, you don't do this, right? We'll release this, okay? This is bad news for Trump, right? Because he's lived a very tumultuous life himself. And the question is, to what extent does that tumultuous life go? We don't know. But those emails that were released 12th of November certainly showed that there is a lot that hasn't been told here. Obviously, they always say Trump has obviously long denied any wrongdoing. Of course, what do you think he's going to say? Do you think he's going to say, I was involved? No, he's not, right? This goes back to the Israeli state. If you actually read some of these files that came out, right? If you read them, you will see that Jeffrey Epstein had connections. It's very much, it was very much theorized. It's pretty much certain now that he was a Mossad agent. He had direct connections with the Israelis, and he pretty much worked for the Israeli state. I mean, for one, he got buried at the Star of David cemetery in Florida, right? So this is an individual. He obviously is Jewish, but is very much in touch with his Jewish faith and with his Israeli friends, because he had loads of them. Notably, the former Prime Minister, Ehud Barak, right? Former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, and him and Barak had a tumultuous time together, right? From 2004 to 2003 to 2009, I believe it was. 2003 to 2007, it's stated that they had met at least 30 times, right? 30 times, okay? Epstein had secured a security guarantee for Israel through Barak, right, with Mongolia, okay? Another thing, Epstein had secured an interview, private meeting, with Barak and with Vladimir Putin of Russia over Syria, okay? This is someone who had far-reaching power, even more so than an Israeli prime minister, right? Another thing, Peter Thiel organized a meeting with Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal, between Barak and Peter Thiel, right? Now, Barak claims that he didn't know really much about Epstein, didn't really know about the, sex trafficking ring, didn't know about any of these things. Of course he didn't, right? But this is someone that was very much implicated within Epstein and what he was involved in, right? And another thing, right, is that Barak and Epstein had emails that have just come out recently, part of the 20,000, through the Republicans. It shows that the Epstein emails him and says, because Barak had a military company, a defense company, sold weaponry and such, he profited over these wars. Epstein messages him, this is the perfect time for you, my friend. It's a perfect time for you, right? There's a struggle of power between the citizens and the governments, right? This is the best time for you. And he says, of course it is, right? So these people had terrible connection. Look at Robert Maxwell as well. Robert Maxwell and what's gone on there. Another notable figure with Epstein, right? And then he started to blackmail the Israeli state, saying that you need to bail me out of my bankruptcy, because he had a few companies that were going bankrupt. You need to bail me out, or else I'm going to, release certain information that you don't want me to release. And what happened? He accidentally drowned to death, right? Another individual, the defense attorney to, the Jewish defense attorney to Epstein, Dershowitz, he's also in these files, and he got Epstein out, right? He got Epstein out on a 13, bailed him out on a 13-month sentence for prostitution charges, serious prostitution charges, right? I believe it was 2 of them. And he got out only on a 13-month sentence, right? So this all implicates with each other. The point I'm trying to make is that there is blackmailing going on here. The blackmailing is going directly to Trump. It's going directly to other figures also, right? Epstein is an individual who knew absolutely everyone. He had his hands in all pies, right? And one of those pies was America. The biggest was definitely Israel, right? It's all very demented. A lot of heinous activity has gone on, and there are many victims as a result, right? Now, we can talk about Israel, and we can talk about how perhaps, they are not the bad guys here. Perhaps we always blame them for things, but perhaps they're not the bad guys here. The reality here, right, is that, does the Israeli state lie? Of course it lies. The reason why they want to get rid of Iran, right? The reason why they want to get rid of Iran is nuclear weapons, right? At least that's what they say. Israel claims it is not nuclear armed. It is widely known by pretty much everyone and anyone that Israel is nuclear armed, okay? So don't come here with this rubbish. Sorry to say, Israel was directly implicated with Epstein, and as was their prime ministers, Ehud Barak, Omar Barak, perhaps Netanyahu. I wouldn't be surprised.